Moving to Fairfield could be one of the best decisions you ever make, unless you make one of the top mistakes people make before you move to Fairfield, and make sure you stick around for the number one mistake. And they range from the commute to everyday life to the cost of living. I'm Jennifer Lockwood, a local realtor in Fairfield County, Connecticut, and I have worked and lived in this area my entire life. And I help buyers relocate to the area so they understand not only how housing works here, but also what the lifestyle is that you're buying into. My job is to find the best location that suits you, not only the house, but also the lifestyle. Let's start with the first mistake, and that's ignoring your commute when it comes to the train, I-95, and the Merritt Parkway. The commute can change your everyday life. You can add 10 to 20 minutes each way every day without understanding the traffic patterns. Did you know that I-95 was ranked one of the top 10 major traffic corridors in the entire nation? Buyers also underestimate the 3 train stations. So there's 3 train stations in town: Southport, Fairfield Center, and the Metro. Parking at the train station is actually easier than it used to be. Pre-COVID, there was a waiting list to get parking permits, especially at the Fairfield Center and Southport train stations. But currently, there are open permits, so you can just apply for a permit and get a parking spot. So there were times where you had to get there early to get a spot. That's not the case anymore. As long as you have a parking permit, you can get a parking spot at any 3 of the train stations. Also important to understand the traffic patterns of I-95 and the Merritt Parkway if you're driving to work. We have found an influx of people moving here that are hybrid. So they may just have to go to the city or Norwalk or Stamford 2 times a week. So they may decide to drive, and understanding the traffic patterns, it's pretty intense. I have to tell you, the traffic on the Merritt Parkway and on I-95 during rush hour can really double your traffic time, sometimes even more than double. I have driven from other locations out of state, and I could drive a 10-hour drive, and the second I hit Connecticut, you're going to hit traffic. And it's not only rush hour, it's random times on the weekend. You just have to be aware of the traffic patterns before moving here, because it will add to your day. There are also heavy traffic patterns just on some of the busiest roads in Fairfield, and that's during school drop-off and commuting hours. I had a client move here from the city into Fairfield, and they registered their daughter in a nursery school just in the town next over in Westport. And on paper, it's a 20-minute ride, but during rush hour, it turned out to be a 35-minute ride, which added to their day that they were not expecting. So even if you have a job that's hybrid or that is remote, you may be going back into the city, just be aware of where you're moving and how far you are from the train, because that could change over time. So what I would do if you're looking for a house in the area, I would test the commute, come here during the week, not just on an open house day, and test the traffic patterns. Maybe decide on the train station first and then have your search be around that station. And if you are reliant on the highways, also do your search based on how close you are. And once you have that all mapped out, the next topic and mistake is cost of living. So I want to give you a breakdown of the cost of living here in Fairfield County so that you are not surprised once you move here. Many buyers, when they're looking for the home, they only calculate out their mortgage payment, which is their mortgage, their taxes, and insurance. Understand that taxes and insurance do vary town to town, and they are higher here in the state of Connecticut. Let's first start with the cost of housing. The median cost for a home in the town of Fairfield, when this video was recorded, which is November 2025, was $950,000. And that's an 11% increase from just last year. If we look pre-COVID, we are up 51% compared to 2020. So the cost of housing has risen. And also, when you're looking at rent, the average cost for a rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in the town of Fairfield is $4,600 a month. Next, we have the expensive utility costs. Did you know the electricity in Connecticut is one of the highest in the entire nation? We pay an average rate of $30.52 per kilowatt, where the national average is $16.48. The average electric monthly bill is around $200, but that also depends on what the electricity is running in the house, because every house is different. Electricity is expensive, and when you're thinking of buying a house, I always ask the sellers for what their average cost is for their utility bill so that you're aware of what the current homeowner is paying. Now, everyone uses electricity different, so you could probably save money on how you use electricity, but just know what they're paying and how much it costs on average to run that household is really important before putting an offer in on a home. Next is homeowners insurance. We saw it increase from 20 to 40% last year here in Connecticut. I do think insurance is having a problem nationwide, but I just want you to be aware that in Connecticut, it's also high because our weather between windstorms and flood risks. Now let's talk property taxes. Fairfield is actually one of the higher ones among the suburb towns. They're not as high as the urban towns of Norwalk, Bridgeport, and Stamford and Danbury, but when you're comparing suburbs, they are on the higher end. But I wanted you to be aware that I've had buyers come from other states, and they think when they buy our house that their taxes change. They change every 5 years when there's a reassessment. And here in 2025, the town of Fairfield is going through a reassessment. So there'll be new taxes in 2026 based on the mill rate. So I wanted you to be aware that there's a reassessment going on, and what you see for property taxes today will change into next year based on that reassessment. So basing this information on home ownership, be aware that your home will have for the town of Fairfield, between $12,000 and $20,000 of property taxes. Completely depends on the size, value, and location of the property. Your energy costs can be higher. Remember that we are in New England, so many of these homes were built in the 40s, 50s, 60s. So the efficiency of the home based on the utility cost will matter. Newer construction are more efficient. So that is something to keep in mind. And regarding insurance, I always have my clients get insurance quotes when they're putting an offer in, so they understand how much the insurance will cost on that particular house and if someone has ever pulled a claim on that house. And I do that during the inspection period, so you're aware during that period of making decision of moving forward. And also we have flood risks. Most people know when they're looking in the flood zone that you're going to have flood insurance. I will always ask the listing agent for a quote of what the seller is currently paying for their flood insurance so that you are not surprised when you buy a property in the flood zone. Just be aware of how much it costs to live here before making that decision. Let's get more into the details of the flood risk, and that is the next mistake. I'm going to show you a map of the flood areas in Fairfield. They're, of course, along the coastline, but also some inland areas. If you can ask the current owners for an elevation certificate, that can change the value that you're paying for flood insurance. You actually have to hire an engineer to get the elevation certificate, but many of the homes in the flood area will have them, and it can help you save some money on flood insurance. Any home in the floodplain that has a mortgage will require flood insurance, and it will change whether your house is FEMA compliant or not FEMA compliant. And one added cost of living in the coastal area is maintenance costs on your homes. Just because of the salt water and salty air, it can accelerate the deterioration of your home with the roof and the exterior. So be aware that the cost you may have to incur more frequently than in other parts of town. The town of Fairfield does have an accurate flood zone map. We also have one on the MLS when a home is listed, but the most accurate way to do it, I'll have my buyers, before they put an offer in, talk to my insurance contact, and they can give them an accurate description if it's in the flood zone and how much that flood insurance is going to cost. Living in the beach area can be pretty incredible, but you just have to know what the cost is before you make that leap. While this can affect your wallet, the next mistake people make has to do with Fairfield addresses that automatically connect them to certain schools. I do have some clients that base their search on the schools. Now, that is based on you personally. If there's a particular school you want your children to go to. As a real estate agent, I can share with you that Zillow is often inaccurate. So if you're looking online as to what houses feed into certain schools, your best bet is to call the district to make sure that it's accurate, or ask your real estate agent, me, and I can find out for you because there is a list. We've had a lot of redistricting over the years, and we're continuing to redistrict. Just understand that it could change. I know that they're currently trying to redistrict again. I just want you to be clear that third-party sites and even sometimes MLS is not accurate. Your best information is from the district or your real estate agent, because I can find out. U.S. News report just came out with the top elementary schools, so you can look that up. I'll put that link below. And some of the Fairfield elementary schools, actually Sherman School was listed number 2. There are a number of Fairfield elementary schools on that top list. And I also guide my clients to go to niche.com or greatschools.org in order to get information and just understand they use all different parameters to make these ratings. So I don't want to say take them as a grain of salt, but just use it as information. Once you have the schools and the boundaries figured out, the next mistake that happens is people forget about the lifestyle fit. Most buyers, when they start looking online, they're looking for houses and not lifestyle. They fall in love with the house, the square footage, the finishes, not realizing how that location can affect their commute, traffic, everyday errands, and just everyday life. And also, noise is a factor. I had a client purchase a home during COVID. I don't know if you remember, but no one was really traveling around in their car during COVID. So the highway was very quiet. She purchased a home, and when we stood in the backyard, because now everybody was getting back to life, she heard the highway and she goes, I didn't realize how much you could hear I-95 from the backyard. So it is really important to drive around and stand in the neighborhoods and walk around to make sure you're okay with the way it feels. We also have some neighborhoods that are more tight-knit than others. I've had clients that do not want to see any neighbors, and others that want to be completely immersed and social. It's really important when you're looking for houses and you go to the open house, walk the neighborhood, drive around, and even come back during the week so you see what it feels like on a day-to-day basis. So locally in the town of Fairfield, the center in Fairfield Beach is the most social as far as getting out, walking around, being able to walk to town, and there's high energy. The university area, Lake Hills are neighborhood feel. You can walk around the neighborhoods. There's parks nearby. You can have a nice walking community. Greenfield Hill can be more remote. It's tranquil and private. You won't necessarily see your neighbors. You could know your neighbors, but you won't necessarily see them every day because of the 2-acre zoning, especially up in Upper Greenfield Hill. You're definitely car dependent because you will need your car. You could be 15 minutes from town for the train. And Southport has great beach charm and character. I had a family move here from Texas that ended up moving in Greenfield Hill, and they had 3 kids. And once they moved in, they loved their home and their neighborhood and their neighbors, but they didn't see them very often. And their kids missed going house to house where they used to live, where they had kids and neighbors nearby. So that was a regret of theirs, is that the neighborhood wasn't quite as social as they wanted it to be. I just feel it's really important to choose a house and a neighborhood that supports how you actually live day to day. So now once you determine how it is to live there, the next mistake people make is not understanding the maintenance costs of many of these New England homes. This area, there's many homes that were built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, been renovated over time. You'll find some new construction from 2000 on as well, but many of the inventory will be older homes. They've been renovated over time. So when buyers walk into a house where everything's new because maybe they painted, they put in some new appliances, behind the walls, it's still a house that was built in the 40s and 50s. So understanding ongoing maintenance for a home of that age is important. You could have original plumbing, original wiring. One of the biggest things people look for is the type of furnace, how old it is, and if it's been replaced over time, and also the age of the roof. Roofs last 20 to 25 years. I know they say 30 years when they put them in, but insurance companies look at them as a 20-year-old roof. It could last longer, but that will increase your insurance premium if it's over 20 years. So just budgeting in the fact that you're going to have to replace it is very important. Homes have been updated over time. Just be aware, have they been insulated? Is that going to affect your cost of heating this house? What kind of materials did they use when they did the renovations? And also some areas in Greenfield Hill, that is northern Greenfield Hill, they will be not on the public water system. They'll be on a well, and they won't be on the sewer system. They'll be in septic. And those are additional costs that you have to maintain over time and understand how long they last and what the maintenance is with those particular systems. And I have found buyers that I have met from other parts of the country who have lived in developments, they don't really understand the types of homes that we have here and the maintenance that you need to do over time with the homes that were built almost 80 years ago. The ages of these homes do vary by neighborhood. So depending on where you're looking, if you're looking in the Fairfield Beach area, you'll find some new construction in which, you have efficiency. You don't have to worry for maybe 15, 20 years about the mechanical system. Some of the homes are older. What is really important that I do for my clients is have excellent references for inspectors. The inspector comes to inspect the home before you purchase it, so you understand all of the inner workings of that home. You're not surprised at these maintenance issues down the line. They'll give you a 30 to 40 page report of all the items that you need to be aware of, and you do a checklist to make sure that you're maintaining so that you're not surprised. Many times I go beyond the inspector and hire specialists during this due diligence period if there's a cause of concern, like if there was a sign of possible asbestos, if there was a structural issue, or if there was questions about the roof, I would bring in a specialist for those areas. I often ask for the seller's maintenance records to make sure that all of the major mechanicals have been maintained over the years and any last major updates. I think it's realistic if you budget 1 to 2% of the value of the home as a maintenance cost, just so that you have that in your back pocket in case something comes up that you weren't expecting. So all of this leads to the biggest mistake or regret I see, and that is great house, but the wrong part of Fairfield. First of all, you can do lifestyle mapping. Define what truly matters to you. Is it the commute time? Is it the neighborhood? Do you want to be social, convenient, walkable, or do you want space? Next, which I've mentioned a number of times, test drive the routes. And don't just test drive them on the weekend. Go during the week. Make sure you understand the traffic patterns and how that will impact your daily life. Compare the total costs. So when you're looking from house to house, the age of the home, the maintenance costs, get the records from the previous owner to understand what they're paying monthly for all of the maintenance on the home so that you can have a clear understanding of how much that will cost. And compare these homes based on how much it costs to maintain the home. And of course, work with a local expert so that they can help guide you through this process. I have lived here my entire life, so I understand the complexities and what each neighborhood has to offer when you're purchasing a home. And this brings us full circle because almost every mistake when moving to Fairfield, it comes down to one thing: planning around the house instead of planning around the lifestyle you want. All of these mistakes are 100% avoidable with the right planning. I'm Jennifer Lockwood, and my job isn't just to find you a home, but to find you a location that fits your lifestyle, your budget, and your long-term goals. If you're planning to move to Fairfield or Fairfield County, reach out using my contact information below. You can call, text, or plan a meeting with me. I'll walk you through a personalized strategy, mapping out the commute times, the possible schools, the neighborhood fit, the taxes, the cost of living, the types of homes, what the pitfalls of these particular homes could be, and any local insights you won't find online. When you get the area right first, the home naturally follows. If you like more information about some of the neighborhoods in Fairfield, check out my other neighborhood tours, especially some driving tours that I've done so you can get a sense of how it feels to drive around the streets. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.